Hey everybody, it's raining in Seattle. What do you say we go take a ride and do a little bit of reconnaissance and see what we can see? Where's all this rain going? Let's find out. Hey everybody, I'm back here at the Mont Lake Bridge. There's the bridge. And I thought I'd come by and see if my favorite combined sewer overflow is overflowing. It is. So right here in the Mont Lake cut underneath the bridge, you'll notice this sign: rains can cause pipe overflows and temporary pollution in this area. To find out if you should use the water here today, go to those websites. So anyway, in case you're curious, the answer as to whether or not to use these waterways today is no. This is what's going on. Here's all the combined stormwater and raw sewage of the Mont Lake neighborhood dumping into the Lake Washington Ship Canal. Looks like the current's moving pretty strong to the west, out towards the locks. Let's walk down this cloud and see what we see bubbling up. See little bits of flotsam. Oh, I think I see a turd. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Little pieces of plastic. Yeah, coming up. Oh yeah, that's pretty gross. Little microplastics too. Oh yeah. Red pieces and white pieces, gray pieces, brown pieces, all working their way down the Ship Canal towards Lake Union and the locks and Salmon Bay. Pretty gross. Let's build some more rain gardens, folks. Let's clean this mess up. I'd say that's a few gallons, wouldn't you? A few gallons we could have avoided. Pretty gross. Hey there, everybody. Aaron Clark on the 520 bridge. Just going to talk about stormwater for a second. So here's the 520 bridge going across Lake Washington. You're looking to the east, I'm looking to the west. But one of the reasons that stormwater gets into all of our bodies of water is construction. So over here you see some construction fence, and down below me, runoff. That's water carrying lots of sediments from the disturbed soils of a construction project somewhere down into the lake. Now in this case, let's see, can you see that? It's coming out of a pipe. It's going under the construction site. So it's not clear if that stormwater is coming from somewhere else or if it's coming from this construction site. It looks like they've tried pretty hard to control the runoff here, but clearly something's getting down into the lake, making a big nasty plume. So anyway, seems like we could use a little more green infrastructure or other stormwater controls to help that out. So I'm just out here on a rainy day reconnaissance, trying to capture stormwater and capture some of the solutions in action. See ya. Alright, so enough of the nasty stuff. Let's start talking about solutions. I'm here still in the Mont Lake neighborhood, over by Husky Stadium, and I'm standing on some concrete that is not causing any water to run off. This is permeable concrete. It's forming a walkway, a sidewalk, and a bike trail here in the University District. And around there's Husky Stadium. So there's acres and acres of this permeable concrete. Hey friends, it's me, Aaron, 12,000 Rain Gardens. I'm out here on the Interstate 5, or the Highway 520 bridge. Sometimes with the rain garden campaign we get questions about all the runoff coming off of this bridge. So I decided to take a pit stop on a rainy day and show you what's here. So you can see behind me, there, look at that. Several little pontoons, little holes cut out in the middle like little donuts. Pictures of them here. Let's see, show you that sign on this interpretive sign telling you what's going on. Basically what's going on. I'll read right from the sign. Stormwater treatment and detention facilities improve water quality by allowing highway stormwater to settle and separate before it enters the lake. So to give you a sense of what that looks like, here's the nearest detention facility in a pontoon. You can see some of the stuff that could be going into the lake but now isn't. Lots of flotsam, nasty floaty stuff. Pretty gross. I'm glad that's not just floating out and about in the lake and then I guess somebody comes along and skims it. And don't miss that little yellow ramp. That's for the ducks that go down in there that might not be able to fly up and out. They can climb up on a ramp. So that's Washington Department of Transportation doing their part to try and keep Lake Washington cleaner. And hopefully we'll show you guys some more stormwater facilities and green infrastructure in addition to this. One last look at all those other pontoons. See ya. Alright, back to more solutions. I'm here on the University of Washington campus. And I got a really nice example of a big rain garden. This is my favorite green infrastructure tool, this lovely garden behind me. You might not notice it's a rain garden, but right over here, little black dot, that's a scupper taking water off the roof of the building behind me, and all that water coming off the roof, instead of going into a storm drain and helping contribute to combined sewer overflows like we just saw, this water is just soaking into the ground and recharging groundwater, feeding plants and doing nice stuff, looking pretty. Rainy day solutions, I love it. Alright, we're talking stormwater solutions, so I'm here at my favorite rain garden perhaps in the world. This is a bioswale underneath the Aurora Bridge here in Seattle. There's the bridge. Hey bridge! A lot of dirty runoff coming in from there. And here's a series of gardens. Go down the hill, on down the hill, through these little notches. And there, all the way down the hill towards the lake and cleaning out the water. And you can see in this top one, it's collected some pretty dark, greasy grime from the highway above. And then in the next one below, it's considerably less grimy. And as you go on down the hill, that trend continues and the water gets cleaner and cleaner. And you can even see some of the coolest design features of this down there at the bottom, that little white pipe. There it is, the white pipe. It's a slotted pipe. So coming out of this pipe down here, that's a slotted pipe, and so you get a couple feet worth of soil filtering the water coming from above, and then anything that comes gets down through the soil, gets collected in that pipe, and then comes into this one. So as the water goes down the hill, it sequentially gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, which is a good thing because this is highway runoff and it's super dirty. You get a little further down, and there's a curb cut over here taking more runoff off of Troll Avenue as it comes down into here. Also water coming down the sidewalk has a chance to enter in here. There's cool markings along the side that tell you if water is coming over this little weir notch, how much water per hour is getting filtered. So pretty cool thing, and lots of cool artwork incorporated as well. And then this is the last cell, and any water that gets here and overflows the top here will go into the ship canal. And here's a nice little educational sign about it, talking about how this is part of the salmon site certified site. And the developer, Stephen Gray and Associates, here's a chunk of the Berlin Wall. This is the Data One building, headquartered at Tableau Software, developed by Stephen Gray and Associates. And Weber Thompson, I believe, was the landscape designer and designer for this site. What's super cool about it is that just across the street, another building by the same developer is going to capture even more stormwater. And just down the hill, there's a whole nother project. Let's see if you can see it. Zoom in, we'll go down there next. Another big bioswale is being planned that's going to capture even more of the runoff from this giant bridge. How cool is that? Alright, here we are. So behind me up there is Data 1 that we're just looking at, and the watershed building next to it. Data 1 is that side, watershed building's there, and now this is the bioswale over here. So it's under construction, but notice cleanlakeunion.org is this nonprofit that's been developed to build these cool new rain gardens. So here they are, right next to where the Burt Gilman Trail comes through under the bridge. It's going to clean up a lot of nasty runoff. Salmon, thank you. Love these kinds of solutions. Alright, one more solution. This is a roadside rain garden. You can see how the water comes down the sidewalk here and enters into the rain garden through this little curb cut. And once it gets in there, it just sits there and has a chance to soak in instead of running off and going into the water and killing fish. Not bad. See these all over the place. The little curb cut is your indication, that little notch right there is your indication that water is going somewhere other than into a storm drain. Check it out, there it goes through the notch, runs down into this little swale. The soils and plants have a chance to gobble it up and clean it up and make it healthier for fish and people alike. Alright, I'm going to show you one more solution before I go inside and dry off. Green roofs. A little hard to see, but up there, it's blurry. There's a green roof, vegetated roof. Notice there's trees and grass, and maybe you can see it. This is another good way to filter stormwater before it goes into the storm drains and gets down into our receiving waters. So green roofs are one more tool in the toolbox. Alright, here's one more rainy day solution for stormwater or runoff pollution. Here we are in front of a artificial wetland in the Union Bay Natural Area. This area has been restored to function just like a wetland. It basically is a natural wetland, just that people made it. It captures a lot of runoff, keeps it detained, gives it a chance to soak in and recharge groundwater before it runs into Lake Washington. You can still see some irrigation lines that are in place that are there to help the new plants establish. But before long those will disappear and this will just look like any other wetland. Another pretty solution. Alright friends, I made it home. I'm going to go inside and warm up, but before I do, I thought I would take one last moment to talk about some of those solutions we saw and how to apply them at home. Here I'm at my house, and here's a few things that I've done to take the polluted runoff coming off my property and reduce it, clean it up. So, hold on, that's better. Here's one little thing, permeable pavers. Any place that you've got unnecessary concrete or pavement, you can just put in pavers, leave a little gap in between them, put an underlayment or nice gravel and sand, and water will soak in instead of running off. That's one thing. You can also landscape with native plants. I find that helps. And up here is my rain garden. Rain garden up here just looks like any other garden, but what's different, it's bowl shaped, full of spongy soils, and it soaks up runoff coming off my roof. Down here are some drain infrastructures, and you can see the water comes in down here. This pipe, that's all water coming off my roof, going down in here, and these soils are so spongy with compost and sand, they soak up all the water coming off. None of it needs to overflow, but if it does need to overflow, that's what these other little pipes are, and they reconnect it up to the street. Now, last thing I'll show you are cisterns. So before the water goes into that rain garden, my house, it goes into a cistern. So this is my cistern. It's 500 gallons. It sits here next to my house. It's behind a little wooden screen. And in the wintertime, got this little valve down here. Oh, here it is. And I can open it, and it goes through this low flow orifice, and then it goes out this pipe down here and out to the rain garden. In the summer, all I do is I close this, and then this tank here fills up, and I get 500 gallons of water I have to use to water my yard, and it goes out through this hose bib here. And that's how I try to keep my runoff to a minimum. Try to keep Lake Washington and Puget Sound as clean as possible. And you can too. Just ask us how. Alright, be safe out there, stay dry.